My name's Terry Wilson, and I'm going to tie Wilson's Bass Bully. Follow along with me. The first thing we're going to do on Bass Bully is to do the tail.
Okay.
And it's rabbit strip. Make sure you use straight cut, not cross cut. Otherwise your tail will wind up looking kind of funny. And we're going to cut about 1/4 of an inch of that hair off. And we're going to start it upside down because we're going to use barbell eyes, and that'll flip the fly upside down, help us with the weedlessness. And of course you can tie in a weed guard if you like. We do many times. But if we're going to fish in an area where we can get by without a weed guard, certainly that helps a little bit not to have it, we think. This is flash chenille. Some companies call it Estaz. Long fiber, lots of flash. We're going to advance the thread almost to halfway. And I like to go under and then over on my body. Each time you want to take the fibers and pull them back out of the way. Otherwise you're going to trap the fibers down with the thread, and you're going to lose a lot of the bugginess. And the reason I like this flash chenille so well is that it has a real translucence to it when it's wet in the water. And when we get to that halfway point, we're going to tie it off. This is really a very simple fly, and we conceived of it as being something akin to the jig and pig that the bait casters throw. And the first morning out with this fly in black, we caught, I caught a nearly 21-inch smallmouth that's on the cover of our new smallmouth book, and got back in, and the guy said, "What's your favorite color on that fly?" And I said, "You know, till I catch a bigger one, it's going to have to be black." But we do an awful lot of of largemouth work, especially with these chartreusemans, and obviously they show up a little better when we're trying to tie and demonstrate. I'm going to make a chenille ball, and I'm going to do that by tying side by side, and then with the third wrap coming right down the center of the first two. And that ball is going to help us spread the legs and keep them more active. And I got the idea for that off of some bass bugs tied by Jim Stewart down in Tampa, Florida. The next thing we're going to add is silly legs, and I'm going to take 2 strands, 2 complete strands, and we'll fold those over and make a loop. I'm going to cut the bottom of the loop and then trim the top. And you can adjust these legs to size. I like to move about 1/3 of the way down to the end of those legs. And I'm going to put 2 legs on either side of the hook shank, tie them right in behind that chenille ball. Just a few wraps to secure. Like to go in behind and then over the top. I think it makes it a little more secure. Trim those off, and then we're going to turn it over so that we can add 2 more legs, 4 more legs actually, 2 more pieces of silly leg. This is obviously chartreuse, and it has silver flake in it. Reflects a lot of light. Again, I'll move about 1/3 of the way down those legs, lay them in on top with 2 to each side. Once again, trim those off. And if we separate those a little bit, you can see that they won't flow back and marry the body. That I think happens to a lot of rubber hackle. We do want them to stand out, but we don't want them to marry the body. We want them to be active. Next thing I'm going to add is the barbell eye. This one happens to be the extra small size, and you can tie these in a variety of weights simply by adjusting the eye. And I'm going to tie those in by wrapping over the top and then turning it to get it even. Then we'll adjust it to the top. I'm going to go figure 8. And then tie around the base to make sure that you've firmed that up. You can add a drop of head cement if you like on that. At home I do that, tend to do that. And then the head is simply wool, lamb's wool, to match the color. And you don't need to be very precise with this. You can just tie a clump on. Even the cuttings, scraps, are fine. And I tie it in 4 places. I tie one ball in behind the eye on the bottom. I roll it over, but on top this time. And again, you're just tying it in, and of course, it handles a little bit like deer hair, but obviously deer hair is hollow and flares, and of course, this just sticks out because there are so many fibers. And it'll look all lumpy and clumpy, and then we're going to trim it to shape. And of course, the wool will soak up water. And will help with the sinking process a bit. Just pull your wool back, and I'm going to whip finish the head before we trim it. Clip the thread. And we're just going to take it out of the vise, set the vise aside, and I'm just going to begin to give it a little bit of a haircut. Just trim a bit. Might tell you how I fish this. My very best success has come by counting it down to the bottom or very near the bottom, and then pointing my rod tip right at the fly, taking all the slack out of the line, and then lifting and dropping the rod tip and stripping only to remove the slack. And of course, what it causes it to do is to hop off the bottom. Now, whether the fish sees that and takes it as a crayfish or a hellgrammite, a mad tom, or whatever else, I'm not sure. And the truth of the matter is that as long as he hits it, I really don't care a whole lot. But it has been a really good fly for us on bass, both largemouth and smallmouth. Some of our bigger fish each year we take on bass bully. And of course, it's going to ride in the water this way. You've got lots of legs, lots of movement, and that's Wilson's Bass Bully. Give it a try.